Thank you. Hi, everyone. Michelle Grimolia here, the President and CEO here at Woodland Pond. Today is Tuesday, May 11th, 2021, and this is my weekly update on a Tuesday. So I have a few things to go over today. It's a beautiful day outside, and we're expecting a beautiful week this week. So I'm hoping that all of you do try to get outside as much as you possibly can. One of the things that I want to just remind all of you of is that, of course, we have a beautiful trail system here on campus. We have a connecting trail system to the Millbrook Preserve, which connects right down George Danskin Way. And also we do have complimentary passes at the concierge desk for the Mohonk Preserve, which is an absolutely beautiful setting. So if you haven't taken advantage of any of those things, this is a great time to start exploring. We are in the midst of doing a number of reopening activities. And one of the things that was interesting to me as I was preparing for today's address was to really kind of regroup on where we are statistically here in the Hudson Valley, New York State. I hadn't really spent time recently figuring out where everything stands in terms of vaccine rates and virus prevalency and all those kinds of things. And so this morning I spent some time on both the New York State Department of Health COVID dashboards and also the CDC COVID, they have copious amounts of COVID vaccine information and prevalency information. So you're going to see today in my memo that I put together, I actually start out with some data, and it's really quite interesting. We've made significant progress nationally at a state level here in Ulster County and here at Woodland Pond in terms of vaccination rates and reduction of vaccine prevalency. And it was really nice to see it kind of all lined up side by side. So I hope you find that as interesting as I do. I'm not going to include that in every memo because that can get a little bit droll, but periodically I'll share it just so we can kind of see where we're going. But the numbers look good, and it was nice to see that. So you've got that in front of you now. I'll send those out shortly. In terms of where we are on campus, knock on wood, we have not had any new COVID cases or any suspected cases, nor any symptom development since we announced a positive test result in an assisted living staff member last week. She remains asymptomatic. And of course, we're continuing to monitor all of the residents and all of her peer colleagues. All of the staff are continuing to get tested multiple times per week, depending on their role, or at least once per week, depending on other roles. We've got strict adherence to all of the PPE standards, including a greater PPE standard that is now in effect for folks that are unvaccinated. And all of that is working to our advantage. We have to use every tool in our toolkit to make sure that we're keeping the virus prevalency down. And so at this point, although we're not out of the incubation period yet on that positive test result, so far so good. I am concerned, very concerned about what the next week is going to look like. We had dozens of people that engaged in Mother's Day visits, of course. It was Mother's Day. I know that everybody wanted to see their children. People wanted to see their mothers. So we did have a lot of people that did do that, both residents and staff. And of course, private duty companions that come on campus, they certainly would have gone to see their mothers or their families as well. So this is going to be our real first test. This is the first time that because of the sheer volume of people that wanted to have visits, that we sort of really opened things up almost entirely. Independent living folks were welcome with no rapid tests to come visit. Many of you went off campus throughout the entire campus, left campus. And, I am quite concerned to see what happens in 7 to 10 days. I'm hopeful that we don't have a similar experience to what we had the week after Easter. But as I said in my memo last week, when we had that last outbreak, we still have not had any definitive determination as to how that was caused. But it was a week after Easter. And I do see, a very strong potential correlation there. So I'm really hoping that given how broadly we did open campus for Mother's Day, that we don't see a similar situation happen. Where we do have some activity on pause right now is in assisted living. As you know, the residents are on droplet precautions. If you live there, you know that. You certainly can go outside, and as we know, you can leave campus even despite being on droplet precautions. And visitation is on pause for the assisted living residents for right now. You'll see in my memo that we are waiting for the green light from the New York State Department of Health as to when we might be able to resume those visits. And we're looking at probably midweek next week. So we're excited about that. And here in independent living, things are largely open. I'm sure you can see people walking past my window. One thing I do just want to touch on, we goofed up yesterday. And this was totally and entirely my mistake. I didn't realize that we inadvertently included language in the Chanticleer on Friday that the women's ladies' tea would be moved indoors if it was inclement weather yesterday. We should not have done that because we are on restriction for folks off campus on Mother's Day weekend or had visitors here on campus. Those folks were asking not to go into the dining room. We should have made that clear for the ladies' tea. We actually shouldn't have moved it inside. That was my mistake for not catching that. So we just had to tighten that up a little bit. So for those of you that did attend the ladies' tea yesterday and also had a Mother's Day visit this weekend, either on campus or off campus, you know, the horse is out of the barn now, but certainly we should have been more specific in that, you know, the asking you not to come to the dining room for the 5 days should have applied to the ladies' tea. Going forward, the ladies' tea will not be brought inside. It will be postponed or canceled outright if the weather is chilly. So we'll tighten that up a little bit. We are, because of the similar circumstance, we are moving the birthday celebration today outdoors. It's a beautiful day. And we do have so many people that do have an added risk because of Mother's Day visits. Those folks are not supposed to be in the dining room, but we don't want to eliminate the joy of the birthday celebration. So we're going to move that outside. So you will see in my memo, again, just a recap of the fact that we have asked that because we couldn't do wide scale rapid testing, and we do know that there was going to be a significant uptick in visits this weekend for Mother's Day, that anyone in independent living that did have a Mother's Day visit, whether it be here on campus or off campus, you please do stay out of the dining room until Saturday. We are going to try and rapid test all of you. We do have a list. We're going to try to rapid test all of you on Friday. So we'll be in touch with you about those hours, but those rapid tests will be available in the art studio on Friday. And then that will give us, you know, a great amount of assurance that, you know, the risk to the campus is low. But because the dining room is our highest risk activity and it's unmasked, we are going to ask you again to stay out of the dining room until Saturday. Now, I want to just address one more thing before I wrap up for today's update. And this is the issue of residents and family members asking myself and Woodland Pond to do one of two things or both of the following as relates to unvaccinated staff members. So you all know that approximately 30% of our staff, maybe slightly less, are unvaccinated at this time. And I think that you all know at this point that that's a combination of medical ineligibility, religious exclusion, and fear of the vaccine and uncertainty. And I know at this point that you know that we are not comfortable mandating the vaccine, but are obviously strongly encouraging it. I think you also all know that at this point we have instituted additional personal protective equipment and infection control standards for those staff that are not vaccinated. And that is in accordance with our work with the New York State epidemiologists that we have been working with throughout this pandemic. So all of those things are in place. In addition to that, several of you have inquired as to whether or not we can either identify the staff members that are vaccinated or unvaccinated and or remove those people from their assignments if those assignments are related to residents? And the answer is really no to both. It's a person's personal decision as to whether or not they get vaccinated. I think that it's wrong, from a human perspective, to treat someone that's unvaccinated as if they are somehow less than or in some way either careless or uncaring, because that's absolutely not the case. Our unvaccinated staff members are extremely caring. They're very careful. They're adhering to the increased PPE standards, and some of them, just are not able to be vaccinated. Some of them wish to be vaccinated but cannot. It's really not my business as to their decision making, or frankly, I don't think it's anyone else's business. I think it's Woodland Pond's responsibility to ensure that for all of our staff members, that we are providing the highest level of protection from those staff members to those staff members and to our residents. And the vaccine is not the only way to do it, of course. Safe behavior is a huge part of it. And of course, PPE and strong infection control standards are the standard that have brought us through this pandemic up until when the vaccines were available. So we know the tools that we need to utilize, and we are utilizing them. So no, I don't think that it's appropriate or fair for us to highlight those folks that are unvaccinated. It may make them feel extremely uncomfortable to have to feel that they have to justify their decision or potentially disclose some underlying medical condition. We've never had a situation where for the last 12 years, anyone has questioned someone's flu vaccine status. And I think, as you know, that has been somewhere below 50%. I do think that everyone certainly is entitled to their own opinions, but this is a very sensitive topic, an extremely sensitive topic. And I think it's important for all of you to know that most of the people that have not yet decided to be vaccinated have struggled with the decision. This isn't just someone that's writing off the idea of getting vaccinated. It's something that they think about and they contemplate and they stress over, because they do care about you very deeply. They're here working in a care environment. So these are not easy decisions for anyone. And I hate to have the thought out there that somehow these are careless people, and that's just not the case. The question as to whether or not we can reassign people away from resident related work, and the answer to that, as I said, really is no, because everything at Woodland Pond is resident related work. We have maybe 2 positions on the entire campus that don't have daily resident interaction, but those folks do have interaction with folks that do have resident interaction. So because we can't reassign folks away from residents or their colleagues that work with residents, it's on us. It's our responsibility, our infection control team, my leadership team, myself, to make sure that Woodland Pond is allocating every available resource to PPE, education, infection control, training, oversight, and encouragement of all appropriate infection control standards, including continuing to encourage the vaccine. As we know, the FDA has been asked to fully approve the Pfizer vaccine, I believe it is. We'll see where that goes, and we'll see if that changes the calculus at all among all of the regulators that we work with very closely. But right now we are meeting and exceeding the expectations of all of those that look to us to make sure that the infection control standards are in place as dictated by the regulatory bodies and so forth that we deal with. So I just want to really impart that this is an extremely sensitive issue. I know that we've talked about that a little bit in the past. That sensitivity hasn't really gone away, but I just really want you to know that this is, the decision to vaccinate or not is not an easy one for anyone. I've got a 14-year-old daughter that, asked me this morning, am I going to get vaccinated? And, to be honest, I don't know the answer to that question. It's something I need to think about. I need to do my research. I need to talk to her physician, obviously speak to my husband, and we will make a decision, but it's not quick and easy, and it's certainly not quick and easy for any of our staff or your co-residents that maybe haven't yet decided to be vaccinated. Right now, And until this changes at the government level, this is a voluntary vaccine for everyone. And I do think that it is important to remind everyone that, everybody makes their choice for a reason. But what I'm committing to you is, regardless of what the vaccine status is on the Woodland Pond campus, Woodland Pond acknowledges and takes very seriously our responsibility for keeping this campus virus free through allocation of resources, PPE, as I said, education, and so forth. And we're very, very committed to that. So here's to a beautiful day, and I'll see you all soon.